Facebook's mission is to make the world more open and connected. And what we mean by that is that we think that people's lives are going to be better, and really that the whole world will function better.
Mark Zuckerberg thinks the whole world's going to be better, and Facebook's going to make it better. I don't know. I don't even have a Facebook account and no plans to get one. Dave Calloway, editor-in-chief of MarketWatch, is here. Do you have a Facebook account, Dave Calloway?
I do.
Okay,
I've
good.
got 500 followers.
You got 500 followers. Well, I'm delighted to hear that. And again, full disclosure, my wife works at Google. Dave Calloway, a little skeptical when it comes to the Facebook IPO, which we're expecting pricing sometime next week, is it? Well, May 18th.
Late next week, yeah.
Late next week. You're a little skeptical when it comes to the IPO. Not that the IPO will or won't come off, but you think the valuation is out of whack, and you think markets may be very unfriendly.
Right. Look, the valuation is out of whack, right? It's almost $100 billion. That's on the high end. It's going to be oversubscribed because the Wall Street banks are going to make it that way. So it's going to go even at a higher valuation into the teeth of one of the weakest parts of the market of the year at a time when no one wants to own stocks. So you got to be skeptical of something going like that.
Right.
Look at all the dogs that are IPOing this week just to get out of Facebook's way.
Oh, are there dogs coming out this week? I haven't looked at this
Joe's
week's schedule.
Crab Shack or something
Joe's
like that.
Crab
It's going this
I'm
week.
sure the CEO and the employees of Joe's Crab Shack are not going to be happy with your insinuation, Dave.
They're coming out this week ahead of Facebook.
Yeah, but let's talk about some of the more recent IPOs that maybe have served as leaders or indicators for what may happen. A couple we would say have been, I don't know, disasters, but they haven't gone too well. One being Groupon,
right.
The other being Zynga. Morgan Stanley priced a follow-on offering for Zynga at $12 about a month and a half ago or so. And that thing's traded like mid $8. You know, it's like $7.50. So if you bought that secondary, you're probably not happy. LinkedIn, on the other hand, has done relatively well.
LinkedIn's done better than expected, but the whole sector as a whole, which was trying to play off the Facebook frenzy, shows that there might not be that type of frenzy when it comes to investors instead of social users.
Right. But does the broader economy, does the fact that Greece is having problems, does any of that stuff really mean anything for Facebook as a company and its prospects?
I don't think it means anything for the fundamentals of Facebook, but I don't think the fundamentals are as strong as we expect. I do think when the offer goes off next week, we could be in a much more serious situation with the markets in Greece, and that's going to keep people from getting in and buying.
Right. But probably buying in the aftermarket, not necessarily getting their allocation. I mean, if you know any institutional investors out there, if they feel like they need exposure to Facebook, they will basically give their lead underwriter, which is in this case Morgan Stanley, kind of a blank check saying, give me as much stock as you want. I'll take it at any price,
yep.
And they'll have a lot of open orders like that, unless something, the market could crash in the next week or so. We don't know.
Right.
Maybe there's another flash crash. Maybe the market goes down by 10, 15%. We don't know what could happen. And in that case, maybe you could see something untoward happen with the Facebook IPO. But unless you get a major event, this thing will be successful, don't you think?
Well, I think it'll be successful first day, second day, third day, but after that, it's very, very difficult. I think it's going to face the Groupon and the Zynga challenges, and even LinkedIn fell for a long while before it came back.
Right.
So that's it's going to be a tough summer in the markets, and Facebook isn't going to save it.
You are based out in San Francisco.
Yes.
Give us the feel, if you will, from the Bay Area, in particular Silicon Valley. You read the stories out here in the East Coast about real estate prices going up, and everybody's rich, and everybody's taking their IPO riches and they're buying up real estate in Atherton and Los Altos, and they're fighting over X, Y, or Z house. Is everything as peaches and cream out on the West Coast as you would get the impression
Absolutely
here?
not. The entire West Coast real estate market in Northern California is hoping that Facebook will save it, just like we're sitting here hoping it'll save Wall Street. It's too big even for a company like Facebook. Governor Brown in California thinks it's going to solve the country's tax problems.
You don't see it.
They're putting a lot of pressure on. I just don't see it.
Final question, Dave. Over the next, say the Facebook IPO goes, what is next? What's the next big thing? I mean, we in the media and people in the market, they're making a big deal about this Facebook thing, largely, I would argue, because they're desperate. There's nothing else for them to hang their hat on.
Pinterest?
What is next? Is it Instagram Part 2?
I have no idea. There's nothing really waiting in the wings of any significant waiting for the market. I think after Facebook comes, there's not going to be a lot to do until we get through the end of the summer.